Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Elevator Life Show.
What's up, everybody? Just a beautiful day here in Guangzhou, China.
Tim, partner Nick, ready to get at it again. So I just got through a kind of difficult situation. I realized that I probably won't be going home, for a while. I'm probably over here for at least a year, another 2 years. So it was time to sell the car. And when you are 14 hours ahead of the Pacific Coast, it was pretty difficult to set up selling your car online. When I put it up, I immediately got back probably 25 emails, and I put it up at 11 o'clock Pacific Coast time, and it was midday here. And so they were going to bed, and by the time they wanted me to call them, I was going to bed, completely forgot about it, woke up with about 45 more emails. And so I had no way to really coordinate test drives or anything like that. I had to call my mom. She pretty much had to run the whole show. She wasn't too happy about that.
Gotta love parents.
But yeah, that's just another, difficult situation of living in a place all the way around the world and not being able to do things back home. But good news, I sold it. First guy that test drove it sold it, which made it a lot easier.
It also probably got all these emails because compared to Kelly Blue Book price, he put it at about half that because he just wanted to get rid of it. So it'll be over here, and that will obviously get him a lot of interested parties in that.
Yeah, it was kind of the worst though, you hate losing money like that, but I needed to sell it quick, and I didn't want to put too much pressure on my mom, having her deal swindle with guys, kind of like that. She doesn't know anything about cars, so I don't know, it was a funny situation. It was like, how do I talk to these people? Everyone that responded was like, give me a call. Sorry, I can't, I'm in China. I didn't know whether to give my mom's phone number, to give her email. She didn't even know I was selling it, so it was kind of a funny situation.
But worked out for the best, more money in his pocket, and situation problem solved.
Yeah, it's nice, because it gives me the idea that, yeah, I'm going to be here for a while, so that was kind of good to get rid of the car and just be here for good.
We're coming at you right now from the rooftop of our apartment building, 30 stories high, which in my hometown would be one of the tallest buildings, but boom, in Guangzhou it's pretty average. We're on par with all the other buildings here, except the skyscrapers.
Yeah, love it. All right, so today we're going to be talking about a post that was written about China, more specifically moving to China and catering to not moving to China. It was written on don'tmovetochina.com. We don't know the author. Don't know the author. We thought it was just pertinent to us to respond to it, not really rebuttaling him, more of speaking to our audience and how it affects our audience, because we have completely different audiences, but he did touch on some points that relate to us, and so we thought it good to talk about those.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of crossover between his audience and our audience, because it's all information that relates to China. As Tim just said, the audiences are different, but there's a lot of information that would be used for both his audience and our audience to hear and kind of clear the air, if you will.
Exactly. And I really want to get out in the air that this isn't a rebuttal to him. We're not disagreeing with him. We're not arguing with him or anything like that. We're in completely different parts of the country, doing completely different jobs, in completely different age groups, and it's just different situations. But we are in the same country, and so when someone talks about moving to China and that kind of stuff, it does relate to us, more specifically because we always talk about moving to China here on our vlogs. So here we go.
Yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so first, the different audiences. He was speaking more specifically to coming over here for corporate jobs, which isn't what we speak to at all, right?
No, not at all. We, leave the ladder behind. Elevator, yeah. That's our motto.
The opposite of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly like Tim said, that's not our audience by any means. We're looking for the people. We're hoping our audience is the people who's willing to take the big step, jump in with both feet, and see what they can do themselves.
Exactly. So that's what a lot of it misses on. A lot of his points were speaking directly to coming over here to further your career and corporate job, and then looking 10 years down the road and seeing it, how far of the ladder you would climb compared to how far you would climb in the States. And that, misses on what we try and speak to, but, it kind of sounded in general that he was dealing with all of China and moving over here in general. So, we're speaking to two different audiences, but we'd like to speak to the points that he hit and address them to people that are doing kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. A few of those points that we wanted to get started on were price point, number one. Tim and I have talked about loving living in China. One of the great benefits is the lower cost of living. In his post, he says he could spend about $3,000 a month, and that equates to more than 20,000 RMB, or roughly 20,000 RMB. And unless he's living in the nicest part of Beijing, eating at the nicest restaurants, I don't know how he could be spending that amount of money. Because Beijing is a little more expensive than Guangzhou, but it's not double.
Yeah.
It's not double the cost of Guangzhou. Shanghai is more expensive than Beijing, and I've lived there before. And I can tell you, $3,000 a month, I would have been having a crazy lifestyle to be able to spend that amount of money.
Sorry guys, my phone's going off.
Business. Typical.
Okay, yeah, like Nick was saying, we're in different situations, and I haven't lived in Beijing. I don't know the price points up there, but he was saying it was really expensive to live there.
There's a fly on our lens.
There's a fly there?
There's a fly on our lens.
Can you get that off?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Sorry about that, guys. That's what you get for filming outside, I guess. Yeah, he was speaking more to it's really expensive if you don't eat at hole-in-the-wall Chinese restaurants, if you only drink beers from the convenience stores, if you live in really, really run-down apartments. But, our apartment's really nice. It's big, 4 bedrooms, in the most expensive part of Guangzhou, and we pay about 1,000 combined, which is really nice.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Touching on the restaurants, we went out to an all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink Japanese teppanyaki restaurant last week for $25
a piece.
Yeah, $25 a piece. It's not like that's something we always do, but it's not like it's going to break the bank. Something to the equivalent of that in the U.S. You're looking at,
I don't eat there.
I won't eat there yet in the U.S. Not for any special occasion. And then also the hole-in-the-wall restaurants. There's a lot of great restaurants all around, all different kinds of food, all price points. I mean, we can go get a sandwich, from Subway right across the street
Same
over
price.
here. Same price as the U.S. It's not like they're exuberant pricing. And beers, again, like we just said, you can get them at the bar for happy hour, a little more expensive, but besides that, nothing too drastic from the U.S.
Yeah, also he was speaking to the point that you can only eat at crappy hole-in-the-wall restaurants, which are really unhealthy to mom's home-cooked dinner. But if you're eating mom's home-cooked dinner, that means you're cooking at home, which you can also do in China for extremely cheap, which is what we do, We cook chicken, all different kinds of food in our place for extremely cheap. We just go down to the market and get our veggies and meat.
Yeah, exactly. You can cook anything. It's not like you have to miss anything from home. I just had salmon for lunch today with a nice, broccoli, carrot, stir fry. That's something my mom would probably cook this week. It's not like it's difficult. You just have to be able to take the time and know how to do it. And if you can't, you can hire a maid full-time who will cook and clean for,
$10.
Yeah, $10
Per time.
$10 per time, maybe, or you can get her on a monthly or yearly schedule where it'd be even cheaper.
Yeah, just coming down to it, when we read that point, I didn't know what he was talking about, because I spend not even half of that, and I live exactly how I like to live.
Yeah.
So basically when it comes down to it, we completely disagree on price points, but to come back to it, we live on complete opposite ends of the country, so that could have a little bit to do with it.
Yeah, like Tim said, we disagree. Being on opposite ends of the country, maybe a little discrepancy. I'm talking 10% or less, but there's no way he's spending, more than double what we do on a monthly basis.
Unless he's just balling out up there doing who knows what.
Then I don't know why he'd have such a negative post. It should be a positive post, because we love having fun too. But obviously, if he's spending that much, he must be having a good time, or he is getting taken for all his money.
Yeah. Another point was the pollution. Said it was awful, and we completely agreed.
Obviously, being the manufacturing capital of the world and where everything's made, there's going to be a lot of smog. There's going to be a lot of particles in the air that you wouldn't find in Portland or Seattle or cleaner, greener parts of the United States. much less anywhere in the United States besides your notes.
Yes. We got papers flying all over the place up here.
Maybe we'll shoot out. Maybe we won't shoot outside anymore. But anyways, they came back. But yeah, the smog here, obviously, especially Guangzhou, Beijing, Shanghai. We're all talking cities of 10 million people or more, where everything is being built up at least on a 10% annual basis. So imagine any city, a large metropolis growing like that in the United States, their quality isn't going to be that great. There's going to be lots of pollution. That's just something that comes with modernization.
Yeah, it's just something that you deal with when you're living over in China. It's bad. Funny story, when my parents family came over last summer, I don't think they saw the sun once. It's normally not that bad. Like, it's blue skies out right now. You can see the sky, you can see the sun. But my parents still to this day are convinced that I've never seen the sun since I left, which is just not true, but you do get days where it's just awful, disgusting. I don't personally notice it, but it's there, you can see it, that kind of stuff. It's definitely not a healthy thing to be doing.
Yeah. Like you said, it won't be something you notice after first initial surprises, but it's obviously happening that you can look up at the sky some nights or some days, and the sun will just be hiding behind a thick cover of smog. But
exactly.
Again, something we deal with to live here, and that's not a very big problem for us at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the way we look at it is we're living like we shouldn't right now, so we can live like we can later.
Exactly.
We're dealing with it.
We'll have the cleanest air we need in a year or so.
Yeah, sailing around the islands, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. He started out saying, which is a good point, he goes, a lot of people, when you just tell them, oh, I'm living in China, they go, oh, wow, you are in the right place. You're in the right place. Which is true. When you tell a lot of people from home, they say that, right?
Yeah, of course. Everybody says you're so smart to be moving to the fastest growing, developing, second richest, soon to be richest country in the world.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, why that is true, I think he was pointing that a lot of people, that's kind of ignorance, because just because they have the #1 economy in the world and it's growing like that, doesn't mean there's always a ton of opportunities for foreigners, which, can be true if you're looking at it from his situation. One of his things was success. And when he was talking about success, like we said before, he was strictly talking in the corporate structure, coming over here, getting a job, and looking to find a job. And he was saying it was hard to find jobs, which I can agree with. It probably could be for foreigners looking to work in a Chinese company.
Work in a Chinese company, or if you're trying to come over and work for a US-based company, normally people they'll send over there are either high-up executives, or someone who already has a competency in the language, or else someone who's willing to, take a hardship pay or something like that. But you can't just come over here and expect to start working for a huge corporation or company just because it's China. They're not looking for it. They have enough Chinese applicants as
exactly.
Is.
Yes, they have enough. And, that's where we agree with him on, I wouldn't come over here for the corporate structure, I wouldn't come over here to start climbing the ladder. And he goes, they give a preferential treatment to Chinese applicants, which, why wouldn't they? They know China better than you're going to know China. They speak the language better than you will ever speak the language. So, what we're trying to get at is the entrepreneur side of things and what going to China does provide in the sense of opportunities. And in my opinion, more opportunities for an entrepreneur than if he were to stay back in the States.
Yeah, definitely. It's China's been called a lot, especially Guangzhou. It's been compared a lot to, the old Wild West, because the growth here, it's #1 in the world, and everybody wants and can get a piece of it, if they're willing to put in the work, which is what entrepreneurs do. And us working hard, going at it our own route, making our own path, is what it's all about for us. We believe that being able to make have these opportunities, because a Chinese person, Tim and I were just discussing earlier today, is willing to work with you, no question, because you're a customer to them, and you helping progress their business while growing your business. Everybody wins in that. There's mutual gain. So obviously they're willing to work with you. There's not trying to hold you back.
Yeah, that was one of his main, I don't know main points. I'm not him, but what I think he was saying is it's hard to work with Chinese people or for Chinese people And you know, I can see that Chinese people are beneficial, or they treat or give a tendency to give jobs to the Chinese workers. But what we're talking about is it's different for entrepreneurs, because if you approach a Chinese guy and you can help him out, say you're going to him on a business-to-business level and you want to do business, you want to sell him something, you want to buy something from him. If you can benefit him, he's more than willing to work with you, you know. But I can see where he can run into problems if you're going trying to get a job, you know, or trying to get some help, you know, or trying to get preferential treatment because you're a foreigner. I can see where you run into difficulties with doing that.
Yeah,
you know?
most certainly. I completely agree.
Yeah. And one of the main points about the elevator life is moving abroad, and that's the reason is that not the opportunities in the corporate world, but the opportunities for entrepreneurs. The opportunities that you can exploit if you come over here with a head on your shoulders and you're looking to hustle and make moves, you know, for yourself.
Yeah, this is completely entrepreneurial based. It's not, you know, that's why that's our slogan. That's what all of the About Us, you know, entails. It's just saying, if you're entrepreneurial based and you're willing to take the risk and willing to put in the work and take the steps, as I just said, you can and will, you know, attain success. But there's no coming over here. There's no one, no boss for you to say, here's what here's when you start, here's when you end,
yeah.
Here's how you do this, here's the next step to take. It's all you, and that, you know, it intimidates a lot of people, but it also has turned a lot of people into very, very successful businessmen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And let's talk a little bit more about success and kind of what we're getting at opposed to what he was speaking to. We're kind of talking about, he says there's a disadvantage if you're coming over here as a foreigner in the corporate world, and we're saying there's an advantage if you're coming over here as an entrepreneur. Okay, so that's our point there. What's next?
Next, we're going to talk about Chinese people.
Working with Chinese people, becoming friends with Chinese people.
Everything, foreigners to Chinese people, all topics. He says that there's a bit of alienation by Chinese people to foreigners. And that is where we 100% strongly kind of disagree, at least on a friendship level.
Yeah.
There's no shot that you cannot go up to a Chinese person. If they can, then they are willing to help you. We have numerous Chinese friends, and the Chinese culture has been very, very welcoming to us. One, because they're intrigued to meet people from a new country, and if anything, it's just another opportunity for both of us to mutually grow as people. But in the business world, it might be a little different.
Exactly. You know, like Nick just said, we don't know. I've never worked in the corporate world here. I don't know what it is to work with a Chinese business person. We've only done business with a different company. Never worked alongside it, so I don't know what that's like. But on a friendship level, I have found Chinese people to be extremely nice, extremely helpful. And yeah, I love our Chinese friends. You know, they crack us up at a lot of times, just showing up randomly, like yesterday.
Last night, knock on the door, 11:30 p.m., and our friend Milk.
His name is Milk.
His name just got back from Chinese New Year. And
Shout out.
Yeah, said he had to come say hello to his American friends. I was the only one awake, and then we had about an hour conversation about pretty much nothing, just a whole bunch of circles. But he's a great guy. We love him to death, and he means really well. And they're all very accommodating.
Helpful.
When we first got here, trying to set up our Wi-Fi, we don't know how to read router instructions in Chinese, but our Chinese friend Ben, another shout out, thank you, helped us set up our router, our internet, and now we have great Wi-Fi. So,
yeah, I've had a great experience on a friendship level with Chinese people. You know, I love them. Yeah. Next, expats. One thing that he talked about, which I totally understand, is expats. And when you're making friends with expats, a lot of them are circling in and out all the time, you know, because this isn't their homeland. So it can be difficult when you make a really good friend and then he all of a sudden has to go back home. And so you got to keep making friends and keep making friends and keep making friends. But we kind of had a little shortcut to that, as in we brought some over with us. And so they've been here the whole time we have been. So
yeah, and they're staying too, not letting them go.
We don't let them leave.
Yeah, but to his point, Tim and I have actually seen a decent cycle of people coming and going, people who we were friends with, but now they're back in their home countries. But I also think it's a little different just being here in Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong. There's always a whole bunch of, you know, people coming in, people leaving, but also connections you can make with people that will last your life. And even though they do go home, Tim and I are still
Good
friends.
point.
We're still friends with these people. We ever go to England, Ireland, Singapore, Malaysia, and XYZ country, we'll be able to see them again. It's not like we're not friends anymore. Not like our friendship has to stop, thanks to things like Facebook, email, Skype, etc. It's just, you just have to be able to be a little more open, optimistic, friendly, and you have to meet new people. That's part of life, and it's one of my favorite parts. Tim's too.
Yeah. Networking. The fact that people are always coming in and out, your network is going to grow by that much more because you do have to meet new people. You do have to put yourself out there. And you meet a ton of great people just because they leave, like Nick was saying. Now I have a contact in South Africa. You're always meeting new people. And especially in Guangzhou, because this is a manufacturing trading capital, business people are always coming in, always coming out. And you make that many more contacts just because of living here in Guangzhou.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So moving on, this is one point that we're kind of not even close on is visas. He probably has struggled with his visa because I don't know if you guys probably don't have much experience with Chinese visas, but right now I'm on a 90-day visa, means I have to leave China every 90 days. But one thing that helps us out is we're in Guangzhou, and so we can go to Hong Kong in 2 hours. So leaving every 90 days isn't, a hindrance because I love Hong Kong. But he lives in Beijing, which is a 3-hour flight. And so if you're doing that every 3 months, that can be awful.
Yeah. Not only do we have Hong Kong, we have Macau, so we can switch it up. And to be honest, we usually go more than every 90 days simply because we love Hong Kong. Macau is great. And again, just meeting new people, bigger networks, and just traveling, because that's another thing about that Tim and I talk about, is just taking advantage of being over here in a foreign country, just getting to know it better.
Yeah, so that's, we can't relate to his situation on that either, just because it's easy for us to get out of the country, and I'm sure I would be really, really annoyed if I had to fly down from Beijing all the time. Okay.
Just real quick, I had a friend of mine from Ireland. He was based in Shanghai, kind of the same situation as Beijing, not really close to any other foreign country. So he had to fly down every 30 days. And that bill will rack up very, very quickly. So not only is it inconvenient, but it's expensive. And I know exactly where he's coming from, but where we are now, we're ideally placed. We can only be closer by moving to one other major Chinese city, but we love Guangzhou, and a 2-hour train is nothing. That's less than it takes from my hometown to get to Tim's hometown in the U.S.
Yeah, this point just has the difference in locations, so we just wanted to say that him relating all visa issues was kind of a little off just because he was so far away. We don't have that big of a visa issue. And you can also look at it as on the positive side, especially as an entrepreneur. Every 3 months, you have a reason to go on vacation, which you can never really complain about, right?
And can you think of a better place to network than one of the most metropolitan, cosmopolitan cities in the world than Hong Kong? They have free drinks and food for social networking nights if you bring your business card. I mean,
if you haven't been to Hong Kong, you need to go.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We'll meet you.
Yeah, we'll go there just because we love it.
Yeah.
So let's bring this around. Let's wrap it up. Let's focus on the success side of things. One of the things he was saying is, it was corporate, but I really want to touch on this point, was that if you come over here and say, it's hard to leapfrog success. Relating it back to if you were going to get a job back in the States. So say you were here for 10 years. He goes, it's not black and white. Like, if you stay here for 10 years working at a job, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be successful or way higher in the company in 10 years. And he goes, like it's black and white in the States. If I were to stay at a company for 10 years, I'm obviously going to be higher. It's black and white. And, we looked at each other when we read that and we're like, why would we come to China or even be entrepreneurs if we were looking for black and white?
Yeah.
In our opinion, that's why we're here, is to leapfrog success and taking advantage of all those opportunities that are available here for entrepreneurs. We talk about in our book sourcing, exporting, importing, all that kind of stuff are opportunities here for expats that aren't really opportunities back home. So
more opportunities, and also, 10 years later down a career, you should be higher. But if you're someone like, who's always looking for advice or always asking questions, you maybe will not have moved that far. So I mean, it only depends, one, on your work ethic, but like Tim said, starting our own thing and being entrepreneurs out here, we can take exponential steps higher to success simply because it's us, it's who dictate how far and how fast we move.
Yeah, okay, like that. And one more thing about failure. He said, if you fail over here in 5 years, it's not going to look very good on your resume if you go back, and even with your experience in China, it doesn't look very good anymore because so many people have done it. But I want to throw out the fact that if you come over here for 5 years, get your hustle on, start making moves on your own, start a few businesses. Maybe 5-10 years down the road, they haven't given you all the millions that you'd hope for. But I guarantee you, if you go back with your resume showing the initiative that you took over here on your own, not working for someone else, trying to take opportunities, trying to take advantage of them, trying to make it on your own, starting new businesses, I think that's going to put you ahead of a lot of other people looking for jobs back in the States.
Yeah, if you can do that by yourself, alone, without any guidance, you like Tim said, almost guaranteed be thrown into a position where you're automatically already making decisions. Because they can see you're competent to make decisions yourself. Maybe you didn't have the capital, maybe you just didn't have the luck, to have the millions and millions you desired, but you did show progress and you did show positive results. And any company could see that. Anybody interviewing you could see, okay, this person knows how to make moves, let's put them in a position to where they can thrive.
Yeah. What we're all getting at is, come to China, the success you have, if you enjoy it or not, it all depends on coming here for the right reasons. Here on the Elevator Life, we speak to coming here for entrepreneurial reasons, or going to any other third world country, or any other country for that fact, for entrepreneurial reasons. We don't ever speak of going somewhere to get a job. I mean, this is an elevator, not the ladder, right?
Yeah, exactly. No 9-to-5s anywhere.
Yeah, so as to say one more time, we do live in different locations. We're a different age group. We're doing different things. So we understand he loves it here. He's not saying he hates it. He was trying to warn people about the opportunities here through his experience, like we're trying to do. We're trying to speak to the entrepreneurs out there saying, if you're doing it for the right reasons, come over here. It's great.
Guarantee you'll find an opportunity.
Exactly. So if you're looking for a place to come, work, hustle, make moves, do you think they should come here?
Guangzhou's the place to be, no doubt.
Exactly. All right, guys, I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Cheers.
All right, see you later.